let's. So we kickstarted on 4th June 2019, and from 50-day challenges, we kept growing and kept building the program with iterations. Just like our habits, even the program grew because of repeated iterations, feedback from the readers, and of course, my own learning as well. Why do I call my own readers as ReadARs? Okay, so I want my readers to have the advanced reading abilities. Those who have worked on your reading skills and gone ahead and improved at them period by period, books after books, and continue doing so. So that's where ReadAR, where AR stands for advanced reading abilities. So today we stand at 3 years mark with 22 cohorts having been done and 231 readers to talk about. And we are about to launch a cohort 23 from the next Monday, 27th of June. Over the coming months and weeks, we'll be opening the Readers Club to all the readers of the world. So if you've been someone who is looking for a book club, which is involved, interactive, and intensive, which is going to help you read books rather than just being present and attending meetings, a different style of a reader's book club, feel free to join in as you get my mail and messages on it. And subsequently, I'll be launching cohort-based book clubs wherein we will be reading specific books at a global scale with readers coming across from different parts of the world, collaborating and reading it together, and hopefully with the authors as well. Let's see if we could do it with Sathya with his upcoming book that is launching in July. So for many of the readers who joined back in 2019 and the readers who joined in 2020, this program might look very different because they have not gone through all of this. This is a reader's journey where I build the routine of reading for them without starting with books. And everyone has gone through that journey for sure. So initially, all the people who have to build their habit of reading, they go through curation of my articles, first to build a routine of reading. And then when that routine has been built, that's when the articles get replaced by books, non-fiction books, which they read in guided reading program methodology. Nike has guided reading, guided running plans. Nike Training Club has guided workout plans. I said guided reading plans is the need of the hour. So that's what we started doing. And they read 3 to 4 books during their journey, post which they get to join the Readers Club. This is small just about the program. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I know you're hungry and eager to learn from your keynote speakers. Our keynote speakers have been incredibly helpful in helping me in my journey of growth, learning, and as a content creator. They have been very supportive. They have been much helpful. And when I reached out to them with a lot of hesitation that Sathya, Jill, would you be the keynote speakers of the Readers Summit that I'm organizing? They instantly said yes. So I'm very thankful to both of you for taking and acknowledging my message, taking this opportunity and helping me, the community of readers of mine and readers beyond that community learn from both of you today. So let me get our first speaker on board, which will be Sathya. Sathya is an informational designer, visual thinking evangelist, and online community manager at Hype Fury, and he's doing an incredible job there. He's on a mission to help 1,000 plus creators to kickstart their creative journey. As a solo creator, he has grown his audience to 10,000 followers on Twitter, LinkedIn, and newsletter. And believe it or not, if you're on Twitter, follow yellow capitals, yellow visuals, and you will realize amazing visuals that he spins. And if you're a creator, just use his visuals, tag him, and spin your write-ups. I'll now hand it over to Sathya to carry this forward. Sathya, spotlight is on you.
Hey, Aniket. Hi. Such a pleasure to be here. And thanks for the wonderful introduction, Aniket. I really appreciate it. Am I audible enough? Is it audible enough?
Yes, very
okay,
good.
Okay, okay, great, great, great. Yeah, thanks, Ramya. Thanks, Aniket. Yeah. So, I mean, really great to see that like you have completed 23 cohorts and there are more than 200 people who are part of this community. So, I mean, who doesn't want to build a reading habit? Everyone wants to read, but we also want to read better, and more importantly, we also want to assimilate what we read as part of our existing personal knowledge ecosystem. And one of those things that helped me do that is mind mapping. And I'm a strong visual learner. I like to draw diagrams. I like to like look at things in a zoomed out manner so that it helps me understand it a little better. But before even we start, I just wanted to say that like don't assume that mind map is only for this visual guys, the designing guys, or something like that. I think there is a lot of myth existing that says that it is only for certain kind of people, only for those kind of people. It will not work for me or doesn't work for others or something like that. It just depends on the context. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes if you do it, it seems to work. So don't worry about the tool that you're using. Just worry about whether it is providing you the existing outcome or not. So we want the end result, and if you use mind mapping or not, just try it out and see whether it works for you. So I just want to share my screen and jump into it. Before we even start, by a quick show of hand, like you can do a thumbs up or a high five or something like that from your this one. Has anyone tried mind mapping before? I see one thumbs up. I see one high. And it also says high. Okay. 1, 5, we got 4, 5, 6. Oh, quite a lot of people. Okay. That's great. Second thing is that have you tried mind mapping for taking notes for your reading outside your existing professional requirement for your own personal growth, basically reading books or understanding an article or something like that. You might have done for project management for your job, for your boss or something like that. I don't want that to be because it shows personal interest. If I do it for myself, there is a little bit different level of interest. Oh, still a lot more people are using mind maps. Great, great. But anyway, given the time, I'll just show how it works. So this is in fact a mind map. Aniket, can you? I shared my screen. I believe you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, great, man, great, man. So I'm part of a small little private book club. So every other week we try to meet and we try to like discuss about a book or something like that. This was a recent this one, and I made like a note of that session, note of the book, Deep Work. I believe most of you might have heard of this book, Deep Work by Carl Newport. In fact, it happened yesterday, and I was able to present this. So this is a typical way of summarizing the content of the mind map. There are only 4 sections in the entire book. Like there is introduction, there is deep work, why deep work, and how to do deep work, and the conclusion remark about the entire book itself. The introduction basically talks about put the like deep work being a new concept, Carl Newport defines the idea. So I sort of divided this into a represented it as a mind map. And if I go deeper, the why part basically Carl Newport explains it at 3 levels. Deep work is valuable, deep work is rare, deep work is meaningful. Again, there are headings and subheadings within that particular chapter, within the section, and within that section, it is divided into particular chapter. So each one is a chapter, and within the chapter, I would not say this is the entire summary of it, but basically a synthesis and the ideas that I found sort of, okay, I need to take it down so that I don't forget it tomorrow or day after, or so that I don't have to reread the book to get the idea. So this is the idea from the book that I like. Similarly, the chapter from here, similarly from the chapter from here. So what it gives me is it gives me like a quick reference point where it helps me avoid rereading the book and gives me one big picture of what the book, what the entire section. So this is actually a section, and within that is a chapter. Then this is the meat of the book. The actual meat of the book is the 3rd section, and it has 4 different chapters, and each chapter dives into it. In fact, this is one of those kind of books you love the book, you love the concept. At the same time, you also hate the concept. For example, like I'll take this one idea, quick understandable idea. Like Carl Newport talks about quitting social media and all. I completely disagree with that. But that's the idea of having a book club, right? Like you discuss and argue with the author, and you discuss the idea. Being a professor, he has the luxury of saying that you don't have to work on social media. I built an entire career out of Twitter and through social media. I was a teacher before. I was working in a couple of education startups. Now I don't do any of those. Now I'm an information designer. I do workshops. So I can't quit social media, and I'm in love with it more than I can compensate for it. I'm earning money out of it. So even I met Aniket via that one of such incidents. So I went on and did summary, and these summaries are basically my understanding of what the book is about. These are all summaries of the idea, summaries of the book. But what I want you to like think about is this criticism on the book itself. So if you look at it, so I'm using a tool called xmind.works. Feel free to use any whichever. You can even use a notebook or something like that. I prefer to put it on digital because I can move around, move the topic around here and there, up and down as per my will and wish. But apparently, I do it earlier with a on a piece of paper in my notebook, then come here and try to navigate and all. The reason I am saying that you give attention to this idea is that this is not a book summary. This particular part is like book synthesis. How I am assimilating the idea, whether I agree or not, to my existing apprehension of productivity, of creativity, etc., etc. For example, I don't agree with scheduling work at all. I believe in synchronicity. Like I do use a to-do list, but to-do list more like an idea list, etc., etc. I don't schedule at all, except when there is another person involved. For example, this one was scheduled, so I had that as part of my G calendar. Every other part of my day is basically left out. Right? Nature of work. Carl Newport says embrace boredom, which is something that I don't agree again. Project outlet. Carl Newport talks about you should work on one specific project, or at the best few projects. But I believe in making multiple small bets. Again, I already told, quit social media. It is beyond comprehensible for me, and I prefer like I get to meet like interesting people through social media. So this is sort of like a synthesis. Uh, I think I don't have to like say how much this kind of way of thinking about books and learning from the book helps. And I'm just using this medium of mind mapping to help me synthesize, analyze, take notes from the book itself. More importantly, it helps me to digest those ideas into my either in my memory or somewhere digital. The biggest benefit of it is that I read this deep work second time. I don't think I'll read it the third time because I don't have to, because now I became a little bit mature and grown out of the concept of deep work. I wanted to go back to deep work because I was having this idea whether I should do deep work kind of this one, or should I go with serendipity, synchronicity kind of a thing or something like that. Again, not to go into the concept, but the process is this is what the idea is. Then just a second. Is it making sense? Is it? I hope I'm making sense. That's one. So so this is I also conduct workshops, and I'm even thinking about conducting a mini cohort based course on mind mapping. Mind mapping is a brilliant tool because of like a couple of reasons that I found. It's a great tool for thinking and learning simultaneously. Okay. So I differentiate thinking and learning in two different ways. So thinking is when I take an idea that is in my head and put it outside on a paper or a chart or a paper or something like that. Thinking. So this is thing. So getting it out. It could be ideating, brainstorming, brain dumping, journaling, thinking. I am somebody who struggled with writing long form journaling. So I actually do journaling in a mind mapping format. And the other part is learning. Learning is when there is an idea outside and I want to assimilate the idea inside. So for this community, I believe you can look at mind mapping as a fantastic tool for getting an idea or concept from outside and inside. And in fact, you can also use mind mapping for communicating, which is concept from in my head into your head. I'm using mind map instead of a PowerPoint presentation to make this presentation, and I'm communicating. So the example is just right here. And I just wanted to touch upon this why mind mapping. It's just a great way of non-linear note taking. By non-linear, we don't have to become like academic. We don't have to enter into some academic treatise or something like that. I can enter idea anywhere in this page anytime. Non-linear, because of the structure, I have to limit myself to step 1, step 2, step 3. But in mind map, I can write first step 1, then I can go back and write step 5, then I come back and write step 3, then I can write step 2A, then I can write step 4C, something like that. So then I can organize it post facto. I don't have to worry about organizing. So that's a brilliant mind mapping allows you that. The second most important thing that unflinchingly fails is that, for example, I use mind mapping for productivity and project management. Okay, I'm somebody who also like task list, but I also need project view. Okay, not many, very rarely few tools can allow you to do that. I use Notion, and I have both places. Like I have a project gallery, I have a task gallery. But for ideating and project scoping, I prefer mind mapping because it allows me to zoom in and zoom out simultaneously. So this is, for example, this is the zoom out. Okay, so I've collapsed all the notes, and I can zoom in also. So what is mind mapping? And I can go on doing this. I can go on doing this subtopic, almost literally like endlessly. So I can do that. So that is what it allows here itself. And finally, I want to talk about this idea where it allows me to organize and reorganize. As I said, I don't have to think about the structure from starting or even before starting. The structure, I allow the structure to emerge. Non-linear, zoom in, zoom out, and structure as post factor. So maybe, so to wrap up, maybe you can use mind mapping in that angle where you're learning, assimilating, and subsequently organizing it as part of that will help you later add it to your existing knowledge base. So hope that helps. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Is this the time over? I just like sort of abruptly
We have
closed.
a lot of time, Satya, and I'm sure after looking at that mind map, everyone is curious to learn more of that. So you can continue for the next 10 minutes as well.
Oh, 10 minutes. I have 10 more minutes. Okay, fine. I'll explain that this one. So yeah. So the other important thing that why I'm using mind map is that it allows me for frictionless flow. So I'm having this idea of flow here. So it allows for the frictionless flow. Sometimes the structure could also be constraining and benefiting, but what mind map allows is that, like, this is an idea that I have, then let me add this idea. Let me add this idea. This has another sub idea. Oh, there is another sub idea here also. Okay, but there is this idea also, so I can keep on going, which is endless. And since I do this both digitally as well as analog, I don't there are benefits to digital, there are benefits to analog. I don't want to play saying that you should do only digital, you should do only analog, but whichever suits you, just do it. And you can of course reorganize it. Digital allows you to do that. And finally, one of the biggest things that helped me come, I've been mind mapping since like 2005, but unfortunately there were very little support or resonance with people with whom I was working earlier. But recently I found out via Twitter, via social media, the people whom I admire actually use mind map quite intensively. So if you look at Ali Abdal, he doesn't call them as mind map, he calls them as spider map. Okay, it's almost the same concept. There are subtle nuanced differences. We don't have to go into that, but he uses that to memorize essays, to memorize concepts when he was in school. when he was in college, when he was studying medicine, and even now he says that he uses to ideate topics for his YouTube, for his course, etc. David Allen is another fantastic person who uses mind map, who introduced me to mind map as well. One of the first concept of David is this capture ideas. Okay, and he says that there are obviously the first immediate like natural instinct to do is that capture idea via bullets. It could be our task list, it could be our project list, it could be people to call list, it could be anything. What David Allen sees is that like it seems that I think mind mapping was a later idea that he incorporated as part of his capture, and he says that mind mapping, because of its design, because of its structure, what it allows is that it allows him to capture far better than just using bullets. Okay, so that seems to be an idea that he's talking about. And Tiago Forte is has become a big influencer, especially on building through his building second framework. He uses MindNote for mind mapping. I think it's a mind mapping app for this one. He says that he uses it, and apparently he says that he helps him to do that, organize ideas, etc., etc. Sahil Bloom is another. He uses the word neural networking for mind mapping. He says that I have this so many ideas, like to quote Steve Jobs. The actual thing is not you collect dots, right? You collect dots of ideas and concepts. The actual benefit comes when you're able to connect those dots. Okay, and Sahil Bloom put the word neural networking, and I believe like you take multiple concepts and you connect it. And by default, if you see, mind map already has this loosely fit structure. There is a central topic, there is this subtopic, there is this subtopic, then subtopic and subtopic. Wherever the idea is, you can always connect back. This is the biggest difference between mind map and sketchnoting. This is the biggest difference between mind map vis-a-vis against, say, concept mapping. Because in mind map, there is the structure. Sketchnoting is thrown. The ideas are thrown. It's there. There is no arrow linking. It's not the compulsion to link ideas via arrows. But mind mapping very forcefully says that you have to connect. So this, what happens is that even though it seems as if there is a lack of structure, but this hierarchy allows you to connect dots, and you can always go back and start connecting. Another person, I should add this one. I hope you guys have heard of him, Sean Parrish. So he's the Farnham Street guy. I mean, like every book reader must have known him. So so he uses the idea of blank canvas. It's a concept called KWL. So he says that even before you read a book, you start writing what I already know. Okay, what I want to learn, then what I learned. And the funny thing is that he says that he uses mind map to do this KWL. Okay, I think if you Google Sean Parrish and blank canvas, it'll show up here. So even before reading an article, he actually does this. Another famous person who talks about this KWL method is, they don't use the word KWL method. So KWL method is from K-12 curriculum, from teaching curriculum. But what they also say is that even before you enter into thing, you do some pre-exercise, pre-reading, you have questions to ask. Then after that, you do a synthesis. In fact, they say that don't take notes while reading. You come back, finish a chapter, then take notes, then add notes to the existing mind map of what I already know. And he says that you can use a different color to do that. So for example, these are all the points that I added new. What I'll do is that I'll go here, I'll change the color, for example. I'll change the color. So these are all the ideas that I added to the already existing mind map. Okay, this is a brilliant way of note taking. The reason is that I'm not taking notes for the sake of taking notes. I'm not taking notes to build a library of notes. I'm taking notes to assimilate the idea in my first existing way. I'm not taking notes for some secondary brain or something like that. I'm taking notes for my first brain, because like I love the word that Sahil Bloom uses, neural networking. Let me color that also in something else. Neural networking. It basically associates a new idea to an already existing idea. Okay. Hope that makes sense. And to give an example, this is exactly why I love this deep work mind map, because I'm contesting the ideas within my head with the ideas from the book. And this mind map is the entire synthesis of Calling Approach book for me, because this is how my neural, so-called neural networks that is as simple as it is. And these are all the mind maps that I've done. So these are all the mind maps. The beauty of xmind.works is that you don't have to download like a clunky software. Xmind is a very clunky software. You don't have to download it. And the thing is that all this mind map exists in your G Drive. So you can connect it with your Gmail. So exists in your, so you can see it is in a Google Drive. And these are all the mind maps that you can do. I ideate my workshops. I ideate my journals. I ideate for almost everything. Even for this workshop, I planned it out using this. Yeah. Did I complete my quota?
That was very, very, very helpful, Satya. I think it's been a paradigm shift moment for people who have been using mind maps in somewhat when they realize that using a technology tool, and there are a lot of mind map apps out there which could really make it very easy. And for those who are really wondering how to get started, pen and paper. Get used to it. Give yourself a month and get on to one of the tools. And perhaps by that time, Satya would have really launched his own cohort based course or workshop on mind maps. So you can get an entire deep dive on it. So yes, let's open it for questions. Satya, you have been having questions on the chat section as well. So you could quickly look at them. And then Krishna has asked that he wants to ask a question in person. So I'll put the spotlight on Krishna. Krishna, could you unmute yourself and raise your question?
Okay, Satya, two questions. See, one is about the note taking itself, right? Like, see, when you are reading books, generally, if I stop to take notes or things like that, it breaks the rhythm and we lose track, things like that. So, how to do about that? Like, how to go about it? First of all, reading certain number of books or reading books itself has become a challenge now. Of course, we want to assimilate all this knowledge so for future reference and all of that, but practically how are you doing this and how to go about this? That's point one. See, second one is see, I tried being organized, like using Notion, all these project management stuff, all of that, but I think I'm able to do jobs or do complete few things even without that, right? Like I'm kind of an unorganized person, you can say, put it bluntly, right? Though I had always tried to do that, but somehow I'm not able to get into that format of it. I start do few things for a few days and then it doesn't go anywhere. There are many such uncompleted organizational thing. So how do you guys do this?
I'm not an expert in this, but high five to you. I'm also exactly someone like that. So don't worry. So I believe both your questions, and correct me if I'm wrong, comes from a single personality type. I believe taking notes, you struggle with taking notes, struggle with organizing or something like that. It's almost the same idea, right? I have my to-do list on Notion as well as on my mind map as well as in my notebook. But I don't have to refer it every. I don't. It's okay. I think Jill is a better person to talk about it. You don't have to, and it's okay, right? It's okay, right? Who are you organizing for? You're organizing for yourself. You don't have to show it to someone else. That look, I'm so organized person. Like, come on, yeah, like it's useless. If you can work without organizing, maybe you should conduct a workshop for us and let us know how you are able to get yourself get your task done without seemingly organized. But even when you say that you're not organized, there is a system and protocol I believe you're following, but it may not look as glossy as somebody who's presenting. Like somebody from like Tiago Forte, for example, he has to show himself as an image saying that like I am organized, because he's talking to such a large audience, and he cannot have pitfalls of saying that, look, I am organized, but I'm organized only 70%. He cannot say that, right? Like people are people, and you don't have to follow type of what is all 100% of you just follow 30%, 40%. You mix and match with somebody else, and yeah, and taking notes. I'm also struggling. Should I take notes during, after, towards, and all those things? Like one of those big points is that Jordan Peterson, being a professor, and in his one of his lectures, he says that don't take notes during my lecture. Like, you know how authoritarian he's like really, like there are these people saying like vehemently take notes, take that notes, this note, and all those things, and he said don't take notes. And there's another guy I've started like following, his name is Daniel Russell, and he says that use memory as a filter. If you forget an idea, there is a reason you forget an idea. It is okay. But on the other hand, you can always, after the lecture, again, Jordan Peterson says that, like after the lecture, you just jot down points, whichever stuck to you. It's stuck to you because of certain other reason, because it's trying to solve a problem, even though it may not be obvious or something like that. Maybe go to the second round, third round, or something like that. Like I said, I don't remember the entire deep work book, but I took only those parts which sort of made sense to my my sort of, it validated my existing hypothesis or challenged my existing theory of how work should be or something like that. Everything else, you know, he says that memorize 52 cards of deck. Do you know, like in the deep work, the book, he says that, like, I don't know why it makes sense. It doesn't. And Pallavi is saying this explanation I might never forget. Yeah, maybe it resonated with you. It resonated with you. That's all it matters. So yeah. Again, don't take my words as such. I'm also learning. I am also hypothesizing. I'm just sharing my conceptual understanding. Is there another question you want me to take?
So there's one question on the chat, which is about the tools, which you mentioned about Xmind. What other tools on the internet that you would recommend?
Yeah, Xmind seems to work for me. I tried MindMeister, but it allows only for like a 3. I'll type it here. MindMeister, Xmind. There is also something called FreeMind. It's a very light downloadable version that you could use. If at all you are using app, you can sorry, Apple, you can use MindNote also. So these are all the things that I tried, and I think if you Google, you will find so many. I think there's also another thing called Coggle.
And the subsequent question on the very topic of nodes application is, would you recommend starting off with a free version, or would you recommend starting off with a paid version?
I recommend always using free version. So you don't, if you think that you need for example, if you, for example, a collaborative version of Xmind, I believe is a paid version. If you think you want to collaborate with somebody else by sharing screen, if the need comes by, please use it. Otherwise, I believe there is also Miro. Miro is a whiteboard. There is also this one. Its collaborative feature is, I believe it's paid, or there is a limit or something like that. So, like I'll come back to, again, I'll come back to Tiago. I love Tiago for so many reasons. Don't do things for the sake of doing things. Do it if it is solving a problem. It is part of a project. I'm reading a book because I need this information knowledge, because it makes so much sense if I read a book. I don't read the book for some competition or something like that. So similarly, if the need warrants, please go for a free version. Yeah.
So thank you, Sathya. I think those who have questions, keep putting on a chat board for it. So when we're done with Jill's session, we'll come back to them. But as of now, in constraints of time, we'll move on to the next one. But Thank you, Satya, for opening our mind to the wonderful potential and power of mind maps. I'm very certain that you'll see readers over here who give a shot at mind maps and reach out to you on the social media link and say, Satya, one short session changed everything for us. So all of you who are attending this, look at the chat section and do give Satya a follow on Twitter or LinkedIn, whichever platform you're active on. And believe it or not, he's putting out incredible gems of content on his social media feed. So don't quit social media, just optimize it. And with that note, we'll put on the spotlight onto Jill, who is going to now talk about Notion. So let me introduce Jill and her segment. So she's going to talk about Notion, the tool. So yeah, so Jill is on a mission to help people get the most out of Notion, a powerful free online tool for thinking, writing, organizing, and planning. Jill cuts to the overwhelm by helping people build one simple system that can unlock endless possibilities. Notion is one of the tools I've been really looking forward to learning because I used to use Evernote and I grew out of love with it. And I've been since for the last 2 years, I've been hunting down to learn Notion so that my note making on an app could really get organized. And that is one selfish reason that I have got Jill to come on, take the mantle, and share all things Notion. So without further ado, please help me welcome Jill to take the center stage. Jill, over to you.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Aniket. Notion is the love of my life at the moment, so I have to be quite careful to explain it in a simple way because it's simple and it's complex at the same time. It's kind of hard to grasp. So I think I should probably share my screen so that I can show you. It's easier to show you what it's about by, there we go. Can everyone see my screen? Thumbs up?
Yep.
No? Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so I'm just removing my windows around so I can see what I'm doing. Right. When you open up Notion, people will always talk about templates. And I have a love-hate relationship with templates. I'm going to show you these because if you create your own Notion account, it will invite you to download some of these. And they're good for giving you an idea of what's possible in Notion. But as far as actually using them, I would encourage you not to. But we can talk about that later. But if we look in the template gallery provided by Notion themselves, you can see this quick note template is literally just text. So Notion's text pages and databases, this is just a simple text page. You have a heading, you have a divider, text, you have a to-do list, subpage, you can create pages within pages and pages inside of databases. You can embed links to websites which actually take you straight there, which is super useful. And let's look at a different template, the travel planner. You can embed pictures to make everything look really attractive. Here's a database with the schedule in it. And then we have a map, which is an actual Google map, which you can interact with. So you can also embed mind maps. I'll come to that a little bit later. Another useful thing is habit trackers. For example, journaling. You can keep track of your exercise, your diet, your reading even, and journaling. So that's another useful thing that you can use Notion for. The possibilities are kind of endless and a bit overwhelming. So as Aniket said, what I like to do is ask people what one thing they want to do with Notion. And in your case, this is a reading tracker. So I've made this simple tracker which you can borrow or you can build your own, which is what I would encourage you to do. So I'll just walk you through what is in it, the building blocks of the page, so that you can hopefully get a bit more of a grasp of what Notion is. So we have text at the top, the title, the text, a couple of checkboxes, and you can move things around however you like. And if you don't like them, you can just delete them. This was one thing that it took me ages to learn. When I first started using Notion, I looked at it and then I decided I didn't understand it. And part of it was I didn't know what I could delete and what I had to leave. And the answer is you can delete anything. This is a title. You add titles to pages by typing slash H1, for example, gives you a heading 1. H2 gives you a heading 2. It's all very simple formatting. You can add colors. So if you click on the handle to the side, you can color the text. You can also color the background, which is what I like to do because it adds a nice division to the page. So that's that. Underneath, you can see the book list. It's got 4 books in it. It looks like a table, a spreadsheet, but it has different properties. These are actually database properties. And depending on the type of property, it allows you to manipulate it in different ways. You can put different kinds of data in them. So obviously the title is just text. Author, that's also text. These are tags. This is what's called a multi-select property. So it's like a drop-down box in an app. You can add anything that you want to. So for example, if I want to add another subject, philosophy, I just press enter. You can delete. You can change the colors in here. The next property is status, so finished, in progress, etc. You can move them around. So for example, it makes more sense to have queued first, in progress second, and finished last. Then we have a rating. I just added emojis. You'll find emojis everywhere in Notion. Notion people love their emojis, and I think they just make it look more fun to use. And then dates, date started and date finished. So far, so boring. But where this is different from, say, a Google Sheets is because each table is also a document. So we can open it up. And at the top of the page, we see all the properties, which I've just shown you. But then there's a page underneath. These are page templates. I'm not going to go into those now because I think there's enough information here. But suffice it to say that you can just type your notes in here. And you can go on forever. That you have unlimited space. You can add pictures. You can add mind maps. Anything. So as far as taking notes in order to synthesize your reading, it's a really great tool for that. Right, let me look at my notes. What do I talk about next? Okay, so you'll see across the top, we have various different tabs. So we have table. I'm being too clever with myself here and I've lost where I am. There we go. Table and gallery. So let's look at gallery next. This is where Notion really comes into its own for something like a reading list. So if you add a picture to each record, it enables you to display them in a really attractive way. You can choose what information you want to appear with the picture. And you can filter and sort them. So I'll show you that in a second. So we've had the table view, we've had the gallery view, and then there's the list view as well, which is a more simple way of displaying the information. You'll see next to gallery, I have current, and this is a filtered view. So the point of all the properties in the database is that you can choose which information you want to display at any one time. So here, for example, I have a simple filter, and it filters on the status property and just displays anything with the tag in progress. So that's what we have here. And that's a cute little status bar, which I'll show you in a minute. Another filtered view is read in 2022. So this is filtered on the date property. So literally just anything that you read in 2022 is all displayed here. So you can see that the more you use it, the more useful it's going to be. So you can have a list of what you read in the last 6 months, what you read in 2022, what you're planning to read next year, for example. The opportunities are endless, really. That is one database with 4 different views displayed in the same place. But you can also display databases in different places on the same page, which is kind of hard to get your head around, but that's just one of the things that Notion does. So let's move down the page, and we have another section which I call Progress. And this is yet another database view, which is the Kanban board view, such as you might see in things like a to-do list app, like Todoist or Trello. And the columns are labeled according to the status property, which I showed you in the table. And here you can move them around. So if you decide I'm going to start reading the one thing tomorrow, we'll move it from queued into in progress. And there you go. If you have lots of books queued, you can come in here and just have a look down your list and decide which one you're going to read next and move it over. And then at the bottom, the 2 final views are timeline, which gives you a really nice visual indication of what you read when, according to the date, and calendar, which is similar. But I think timeline works really well for books. So that's all the different views. So let's go back up to the top, and I'll show you how to add a new one. So to add a new entry, you look for the new button. You can do it here, you can do it up there. So I'll just add one here for now. And let's say we're going to read Getting Things Done. So type the title. I apologise for my dog. We have animals in the roof and she goes mental. Sorry about that. Right, I just have to ignore her. I apologise for that. And the author is David Allen. Status, I'm going to read it now. So we'll put that in progress. The subject, we'll say that's productivity. Rating, I'm not going to add anything because I haven't started it. This is how the progress bar works. So if you're reading a physical book, you just put the total number of pages in here. So if it's, say, 247 pages, and at the moment I'm on page 36, it will show you your progress. If you're reading on Kindle and all you've got is a percentage, that's easy. You just put 100 in the total and the same thing, the percentage that you've got. So the formula just calculates, it's just a simple calculation using these 2 number properties. If we go up to the top, we always have an icon, which just it gives you a random one. You can just pick whichever you want or remove it. And you have a cover. So Notion will give you one, it will offer you a choice, it will just offer you a random one. If you go to change cover, you have all of these provided. If you want to choose your own, you can go to Unsplash, type in a search term, for example, and you can put your cute kitten on David Allen's Getting Things Done. But that's probably not the most appropriate thing you could do right now. So let's go to Amazon and pick the actual book cover. So I need to link it. So I'll go to Amazon here. I've already got this queued up. You can take a screenshot, which I do all the time. So it's Command-Shift-4 on a Mac, and you just do that and add that. On a Windows machine, it's Windows key and the full stop. But what you can also do is right-click, copy image address, and then come back in here, paste it in. There we go. So, and you can see it's back with, it's included with all of the other books. Let's move him a little bit so we can see his eyes. And it's in all of the other views as well. Oh, one thing I didn't say before, you can choose which properties you want to display at any particular time. So here I've got the subject displayed, whereas I didn't on this one. But I haven't got the author, so I'll add it here. So we go up to the three dots at the top, which is the properties, click on properties, and then you just click the eyeball next to the property you want to display. So I've got author on there now. And in order to move them in a different order, just grab the handle and move it to where you want it to be. So that's that. Let me just add one more thing. So table view, you can add a property, whatever property you would like. So Aniket was mentioning before that you also read articles. So one thing you could very easily do is add a format property, and I'd make that a select. So you could have book, and you could have article, and you could have podcast, and you could have YouTube, whatever. And then, as you can probably imagine, you can filter your bookshelf to display if you want only books or only podcasts. It's very, very flexible. That's it then. I think that was all I wanted to show you. Oh, any page in Notion can be shared publicly, so it can become virtually a web page. So this is really useful for example, a CV. You could send a CV if you're applying for a job. You can share, if someone asks you for a book list, you can share a book list. And you do that by pressing share in the top. So I've already shared this one. It's shared to the web. And this is what it looks like. This is what the public page looks like. So it's virtually, it's the same. My window is a bit small. So if you get the public link, all you have to do is go up to the top right-hand corner and you see duplicate. You click on that, and that will create a copy in your own workspace. And if you haven't got a Notion account, it will prompt you to create one, and it's completely free for everything, most things that you would want to do in it. So I think I've covered most things there. So any questions? I would love to answer them for you.
Thank you, Jill, for giving us all a view of an incredible potential tool called Notion. The link that I copied, please put it on the chat itself so that anyone who are here right now could click and go already to the web browser page of theirs. If you do not have a Notion account, just click that Notion account, create it, and then copy this template. Now that you have that template which Jill has showed you around, play around with it. And yeah, anyone who we have a question, Krishna has a question, so Krishna, go on.
Thank you, Jill. I think you start with Notion now and to become a more organized person. But the important thing is see, when you went to this bookshelf aspect of it, I saw this table view. Like, is it coming like a default, or you can create that table itself? How does it look?
Yeah. Let me share again quickly.
And for each of those, right, like the list of properties, like For example, I think initially you showed a master list of different categories. So one of that was the bookshelf for books. So for each of that, there is a template which is already there, like how we saw for bookshelf.
There are always templates. There's templates for everything. But what I would advise you to do is literally start with a blank page to create your own database /create. So you just start typing. Create linked view of the database. Now, obviously, I've got lots in here. You would have nothing. You just go down to the bottom, create a new database, and this is what you get. Okay. So this is the default view. You put your title in there. It will always give you the name. You can't get rid of that field. You can change the name of it, but that's kind of the key to each record. It will also give you tags, which is sometimes useful and sometimes not. Just delete it. You can either change it, you can edit the property and change it, or you can just delete it, and then it's gone. It also gives you 3 empty fields, which you can fill in with your books, or again, just delete them. So this is what no one told me when I started, and I thought, do I have to keep those things there? What if I don't want tags? What do I do with that? So literally anything. And then you just add your properties. And this is where you can see that it looks probably more overwhelming than it is. It's all fairly self-explanatory, really. And just use what you need and don't worry about what you don't need. Start off simple and add complexity as you need it.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Ankit.
Thank you, Krishna. Anyone else who has a question right away? If not, all right, then I hope you can, you have already clicked on the link which Jill has shared. You have, make a copy of this, get a Notion account started, and start playing around. As Jill says, you can play around with the blank screen, or I would say, if it feels overwhelming, just use the template that has been there. As simple as that. So,
Aniket, I have a question for Jill. I'm sorry for being late. Thank you, Jill, for such a wonderful session. I want to check with you, when we share the link with others for them to see what we are reading or the activities that we are doing, will they also see the notes that we are creating in those links?
That's a very good question. And the short answer is yes. So, for example, if you were to share the page, so the page that I shared with you, if you were to share that with someone else, they would see everything inside it. The permissions are cascading in Notion, which means that anything inside the page that you're on will be shared as well, unless you turn off the permissions. It can get a little bit complicated with databases, but in general, assume that they will see the notes as well. And if you're not sure, look in incognito mode, and then you'll either be able to see it or you won't. So if you're not sure.
Thank you so much.
I would like to call out the note which Pallavi has mentioned, that I get a notion that I will be addicted to this. Thank you very much, Jill. I hope all the readers here and all the participants, the readers of the world, do get addicted to Notion and put all their mind maps that they have drawn into the Notion page as well in below the note section. That would be something incredible. So yes, we are at the end of our summit. Thank you very much, Jill, for giving an exhaustive walk around of how we can get started with Notion and don't feel overwhelmed. I'm sure that not just me, I'm going to put this as a weekend activity for all the readers here onwards as part of the Reading Habits program. So all the readers, you already know what you do on the weekends. You make notes. This Notion template edits, updates, mind map creation here onwards become part of the curriculum. Whether you're in cohort 22, whether you're part of the GRPs as part of the Readers Club, or whether you're an upcoming reader of cohort 23, this becomes part of the curriculum. So let's all show Jill and Sathya that their hard work, their time that they've showed in creating this keynote does not go waste at all. and we become the return over investment of their time. So thank you so much, Jill and Sathya, for joining in. Thank you all the readers for joining into this session. I know we've gone short past the time that we had allocated for this key summit, but feel free to use the chat section to share your takeaways, your experience, your thanks to Jill and Sathya, and use that heavily. And that last but not least, if anyone really wants to share their session experience on video, go ahead and raise your hand and put you on spotlight. Okay. Yeah, Krishna, you are already on spotlight now. Yeah, go ahead.
So thank you. Thanks a lot. I think for somebody like me, I think this session was really helpful. I was glad I could attend this. Thank you, Sathya. Thank you, Jill. And these are, I think, very important things to have for me to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. And everyone, don't forget to follow Sathya and Jill, their accounts on Twitter and LinkedIn. I've shared their links with you. I'm again going to share on the chat section. Keep an eye out for my message. Whenever Jill launches a big, long workshop on Notion, all things Notion, she just gave you a 20-minute glimpse of it. I'm going to share the link and you can get in touch with her to join her program. Whenever Sathya launches his course on mind map at detail level, I'm going to share the link. And you've already seen, if someone can do that in 20 minutes, what can you get in a day's workshop or a cohort of a month? That would be incredible. So great. You all have learned the knowledge. It is now time to apply. The readers in the Readers Club will get to read Getting Things Done. Right, we both of them talked about getting things done synonymous. I did not tip them off at all. Okay, they did not know that we would be reading Getting Things Done from the week ahead. So now it's just blessing in disguise that they talked about an incredible book. Let's build our second brain and leverage all that is in the first brain at a deeper level with mind maps and Notion. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you had a great session and a great amount of learning. Follow them across and see you next time in an upcoming summit. Thank you and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.